we have heard that feeding ghee,
Right.
jaggery, and
Will make the delivery normal,
will
right?
make the delivery normal. Drinking ghee makes delivery process easy. Again, all these are the myths. We have seen animals around. They do not have this.
They don't take ghee,
Yeah,
right?
a cow who's producing milk the most, she doesn't have ghee and all these things. This is a myth again I have heard, that having raw milk helps, but unpasteurized milk should be completely avoided during the pregnancy. If you have a sudden movement, sudden turning, or you're getting up from the bed, that time to have the cramp is absolutely normal. Which will last for a few seconds and would settle by itself. When there is a dehydration, there's going to be headache, nausea, dizziness, all fatigue. All these feelings are going to be even more. Plus, increased chances of urine infection, which is anyways common during pregnancy, is going to be even higher.
Right.
So hydration is again one of the important parts.
Right.
2 to 2.5 liter water should be
No matter what.
Yeah, should be a target. Till 5 to 10% of the patients who would be just doing the test and would sit at home, not do anything, and just come when they have symptoms. I completely do not understand this. If you're doing certain things as a routine, which is a physiological thing, pregnancy is a physiological thing, let's not make it as a pathological thing. Exercising every day is very important. I tell all my patients to walk at least 30 minutes every day.
Today on Med Talks by Dr. Anita, we have with us a truly exceptional doctor, someone who has become one of the most trusted and sought after Indian obstetrician and gynecologist in Dubai region. It's an absolute honor to welcome Dr. Namrata Jadhav, a specialist obstetrician and gynecologist with over a decade of post-DNB clinical experience, including almost a decade of dedicated practice in UAE. Dr. Namrata's academic journey itself is remarkable. She completed her MBBS and diploma in obstetrics and gynecology from the prestigious D.Y. Patil Medical College in Mumbai, followed by her DNB in OBGY from KJ Soumya Hospital, along with earning the distinguished NMAMS certification. She has further strengthened her expertise with training in aesthetic gynecology, laparoscopy, ultrasonography, and reproductive medicine, making her an incredibly well-rounded and up-to-date specialist. Beyond her qualifications, what makes Dr. Namrata truly stand out is her exceptional patient satisfaction record. She is known for maintaining 100% positive reviews throughout her UAE practice. Her patients absolutely adore her, not just for her clinical excellence, but also her warmth, clarity, and compassionate counseling. Whether it's expectant mothers, women dealing with complex gynecological concerns, or even teenagers navigating with sensitive issues, Dr. Namrata is someone everyone feels instantly safe and comfortable with. At Dubai London Hospital, she has been consistently recognized for handling one of the highest volumes of deliveries and procedures, and she is admired for her expertise in high-risk pregnancies as well, gynecological surgeries, fertility evaluation, and emergency obstetric care. Her patients describe her as calm, reassuring, and incredibly skilled, someone who brings both science and empathy together in the most beautiful way. It gives me an immense joy to welcome an extraordinary clinician, a trusted women's health advocate, and truly one of Dubai's most loved obstetrician and gynecologist, Dr. Namrata Jadhav. Welcome to Med Talks by Dr. Anita.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. It was such a lovely introduction.
Finally.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Finally, I know I've been calling you since quite a long time, but finally we got the opportunity to have you on my show.
Yes.
I'm so glad.
Absolutely. Today, I had managed the patients also so well that no, this is the priority for me now.
I know, and especially Sunday.
Yes.
So
especially
it's
Sunday.
great. It's great to have you.
Pleasure is all mine.
So starting with, what made you choose this field of obstetrics and gynecology?
So, when I was in MBBS and when we used to see these deliveries happening, that time itself, that adrenaline rush or the satisfaction at the time when the baby is delivered, the emotional environment that time always used to make me choose this field right from the first delivery that I had seen.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's nice.
it is
It's like you
amazing.
always like to be on tip of your toes, and this is something like you have to be, always quite quick and prompt in.
Yes, and I think I would be
A best
doing
match?
it. Yeah, kind of, yes.
Too engaged, doesn't?
Sorry?
You said, I think I'll be too engaged.
I think I'll be the ideal candidate to do this.
That's nice, amazing.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
good to fit your passion, because everybody has different stories. Somebody's like, somebody in family was doing this, so I've done this. Somebody from parents, they said to do this, so I did
For
that.
me, I'm the first doctor in the family. But then,
Wow.
yes, that patient's happiness and then the satisfaction there, the work satisfaction is really amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And every time I deliver the baby, it's just the same feeling.
Wow, I can see those in the pictures and the smiles of that your patients have.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Truly, truly.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Namrata, I know it's very basic question, but trust me, many females come across this concern. How do they know if they are pregnant? What are the initial signs and symptoms which a pregnant female can expect?
Yeah, actually, you said it, it's a basic question, but again, in my practice, I see this day in, day out. Patients would ask me, especially if they're concerned about this fertility treatments and the conceiving part. First and foremost, we have symptoms which are actually seen even before the missed periods.
Okay.
Those will be bloating, nausea, breast tenderness, little spotting. That spotting is nothing but the implantation spotting. So again, need not worry about it if it's not a fresh bleeding throughout. Yeah, increased urination, mood swings. All these symptoms can happen even before the missed period.
Okay, people usually think that once the period is missed,
Is
then
missed.
that's when they get
Yeah,
pregnant.
no.
Okay.
So missed period again becomes the
Another-
evident sign. But post that also breast soreness, increased urine frequency, nausea, vomiting, morning sickness. Some patients do have headaches. Or
Okay.
yeah, even the dizziness, whenever postural hypotensions, all these are very common in first trimester of the pregnancy.
That's nice, because it's very basic question. I agree. But it was good to
Yes,
start with,
yes.
because the field itself is about pregnancy, right?
About
So
the
let's start with a
pregnancy.
good question.
Absolutely right.
Great.
And beginning of the pregnancy.
Yes. Great. So, what are some tests which, other than the kit which is available, which people can go for, a short diagnostics that, a female is pregnant?
As you said correctly, the urinary kit can also diagnose the pregnancy at earliest. That would be again between say 10 to 14 days of post implantation.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be roughly on the day of missed period or even 2 days before missed period, the kit can show the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, it is better to wait till missed periods, but it can be
Sometimes
done.
patients are impatient.
Patients are impatient. Yes.
Patients are impatient. Very
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, so it can be done. And
Okay.
the blood test, which is most accurate one, can be done even 7th to 10th day post conception.
Okay. So,
Which would be around 5
before the
days
missed period.
before the missed period.
5 days before the
5
missed
days
period.
before the missed period.
And what is the name of the test?
Beta HCG.
Beta HCG.
Yes. That's
So-
a pregnancy blood test confirmation. It is a pregnancy blood test, which is a confirmatory test.
Okay. Are there any chances that even the urinary the kit can go wrong?
Yes, many a times that can happen, that the test can have a false positive, false negative results as well. In fact, my patients sometimes they are doing 3 to 4 kits and each and every kit would be like faint, dark,
Different,
negative,
huh?
all different. So blood test is a confirmatory one.
Perfect. Have you come across patients usually who do this test, this urinary test at home? They come positive and they are fine and they consider that they are pregnant, or sometimes it can be other reasons of not having periods as well. How often you come across this kind of patients who be at home by just doing that kit test and they are okay? They will come maybe after again 1 month or something.
So nowadays, because of the awareness and everything, we see these kind of patients little lesser. But yeah, there are around, say, if at all I have to give you an average, it will be around still 5 to 10% of the patients who would be just doing the test and would sit at home, not do anything, and just come when they have symptoms.
True. So
Yeah.
that awareness is very important. So
Awareness
as soon
is
as
important and it is there. So nowadays, we do see patients at around 6 to 8 weeks, and we are really happy to take the journey from there.
Very nice. So, Dr. Namrata, as you mentioned that spotting is quite common when the implantation occurs, when the baby is going and sitting on the wall of the uterus. That's where the little bit of bleeding happens. How common is getting cramps during the early phase of pregnancy? Is it like very common, or how should women really take it?
So again, spotting in first trimester of the pregnancy or throughout the pregnancy, we see around 80% of the cases of these. And around 90-95% cases would be having a safe delivery as well. Cramping during first trimester is also very common. Although we always tell that if at all you have symptoms, please come to us. But again, uterus is growing. Surrounding structure, the ligaments, cannot grow that well. They are not those stretchy. So of course, they are under constant pull. So if you have a sudden movement, sudden turning, or you're getting up from the bed, that time to have the cramp is absolutely normal, which will last for a few seconds and would settle by itself.
Even in early days of pregnancy?
Even in early days of pregnancy.
Okay.
So all these symptoms, even the backache, all these symptoms are normal, provided it's already seen by a doctor.
Is it possible? So sometimes patients also get feared that, having a cramp, it means that it's leading to an abortion.
Yeah,
They get that fear.
Most commonly heard question or the concern, I would say. But again, we once we do the ultrasound, we know the position is proper in the uterus and it's not in the tube. The sac is seen well, the fetal pole is seen, heartbeat is there, cervical length is good. And when we reassure them that fine, that everything is good and the cramping is going to be the part and parcel of this. So even then, if they have a concern, we would treat them with some medications, but otherwise it is reassuring. The
Right.
scans are reassuring.
But there must be still chances that they might, so maybe in terms of frequent abortions or early abortions when patients, they usually also have, in the first trimester, they
Yes.
have the
Yes.
missed abortions, right?
Yes.
So, how can a patient differentiate between these cramps? Like if it's like getting too severe, because sometimes they get used to it.
Yeah.
That okay, the doctor has said that it's normal,
Normal,
So
yes.
how should they really take it and approach a doctor?
As previously also mentioned, the cramp, when it is a normal physiological cramp, would settle by itself. But the cramps during the process of abortion would keep coming constantly
Okay.
with rather increased intensity and frequency as well. So the cramps are going to be like menstrual cramps, little stronger each and every time, associated with little bleeding, spottings, and I would say rather fresh red bleeding.
Fresh blood.
Yeah, so those all are the alarming signs. And as I mentioned, whenever the cramping is there, we would like to rule out the infection part. Once that is ruled out, we can always treat them with the progesterone support. So the progesterone we know is the relaxant, muscle relaxant. So that just relaxes the uterus. And again, all these complications, previous history of miscarriages, can be put on these medications as well.
Sometimes patient must be fearful that relaxing the uterus may not also lead to abortion. Do you come across such kind of myth and misconceptions?
Yeah, I mean, we have certain patients that they, even in pregnancy, they don't want to take the medications, even if it is indicated. But then when you counsel them and when you explain it to them, then they are okay to take the medications.
Right. So it's
Yes.
always good to see a doctor, whatever, no matter
Always
whatever is the
good
concern.
to see always good to have a first visit between 6 to 8 weeks, where, as I mentioned, we see the site, size, number of fetuses, cervical length, everything, any fibroid, any cyst present at that time,
Right.
everything can be seen that time.
Perfect. And accordingly, the rest of the months
Medications
planned.
can be, yeah.
So, as you said, that visiting a doctor is very important. I would like to know how frequently the patient should see a doctor in each trimester.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, first visit can be between 6 to 8
So, for
weeks.
audience to let our audience to know, why we call it trimester first of all.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So we divide this in like 9 months into initial 3 months, mid 3 months, and the last 3 months.
Okay.
So each 3 month would be called as a trimester.
Trimester.
So first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. First trimester would be till 12 weeks, second 28, and 28 to 40 would be the last trimester.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the number of visits?
And the number of visits, we say first visit 6 to 8 weeks, followed by each month visit till 28 weeks.
Okay.
Post 28 weeks, if everything is okay, doctor will still continue monthly visit till 32.
Okay.
And post 32 weeks, it will be twice a month. As I mentioned before, the first visit has to be between 6 to 8 weeks. Then, till 32 weeks, monthly visit is essential, wherein your blood pressure, patient's blood pressure, all other vitals, weight gain, everything is monitored. Clinical examination also is very important with respect to anemia, edema, body swelling. All those things can be monitored well when they are coming for the monthly visit till 32 weeks.
Okay.
Post 32 weeks, it is going to be every 2 weeks till 35 weeks.
Okay.
And after 35 weeks, we would like to call them every week
Every week.
till 40 weeks.
I've seen very commonly patients, they are seeing any kind of general doctors also till third trimester, and in third trimester they land suddenly to an obstetrician and gynecologist like, okay, now it's time to deliver. So you must be I don't know, you correct me, you must be landing into troubles like, okay, what has been till now, what has happened till now. Do you come across this struggle? I have seen this, especially in the other side of Dubai region, like especially in Ajman and Sharjah side, where they really see a very regular doctor for first and second trimester, and third months out of a blue they go for delivery.
Yes.
So how do you face that challenge?
Not only that, they will come in the last semester, rather last few days, I would say, and would really ask that, doctor, we want to go for a normal delivery only.
Just take it out. That's it. We came to you for that only.
For that only.
Oh my God.
But then again, when we see the records and if the case is actually well monitored, we really don't mind. But then it is always a good idea to consult obstetrician, gynecologist for the purpose of antenatal care, because we know how to monitor the baby's growth. So there are certain genetic tests to be done. At 16 weeks, there is something called as cervical length check.
So I will come on this question. So what are the common concerns or common issues that a baby can face or even a mother can face if they miss those checkups during the first and second trimester of the pregnancy?
Yeah. So when we are talking about first and second trimester, of course, the chances of abortions are a little higher till the pregnancy is actually settled in properly. So that is one of the things. Then thyroid disorders, which needs to be corrected if it is there. Anemia needs to be corrected, which is again a common thing.
Right.
In
Even
women.
thyroid in women is very common.
It's
It
very
gets
common.
unnoticed.
And again, in pregnancy, it is even more common.
Right, right,
So all these symptoms, all these things need to be treated well.
right. Because it affects the baby at the end of the day. They feel that it's fine. I have been fine till now. Nothing will happen further also.
Yes. And in fact, for the thyroid itself, they would always come up with, no, I have checked it last year. It was okay. But again, these things need to be told about the concerns that
Right.
baby is going to grow on the same blood. So you need to have your levels within the normal limits.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the first trimester. Then second and further?
Then again, genetic testing, as we were talking about, the Down syndrome, the Edward-Patau syndrome, all those things which can be diagnosed easily just by single blood test. If at all you're coming to the doctor, it will be a gynecologist rather, they'll be able to tell you the need of doing these tests. Yeah. So if at all anything comes positive, there is something called as amniocentesis, which is again a diagnostic test for these conditions. Post that, we know what are we dealing with. Is the fetus normal?
Right. So amniocentesis is checking the water in which the baby is actually floating, right?
Yes. So all these procedures can be done at earliest
Right.
when they come and follow the obstetricians.
Right. So we can treat early whatever is the issue rather than,
Absolutely. In fact, of lately, I have been seeing many cases of cervical incompetence as well, where on 16-week scan, they are just coming for the follow-up, and the cervical length from 5 centimeter has just gone to less than 2.5. I mean, a huge difference that we have
Right.
seen from first scan to now. So again,
Right.
a cervical stitch and other things, the rest, progesterone, all those things become a real crucial part till the fetus reaches the maturity. So all these visits are well planned and they have to be taken seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Agree.
Yeah.
What about food? I'm sure this is the most common thing you must be coming across. The 60%, 70% of the discussion happens is, Doctor, what should I eat? What shouldn't I eat? So if to let our audience, especially the females who are planning, pregnancies,
Yes.
and the mommies who are already mommies,
Yes.
and for females who are having their kids who will be getting pregnant. Definitely, we are here to help them.
Yes.
So, what are the food which are indicated and non-indicated in terms of pregnancy?
Yeah, so we always recommend to have a balanced diet, which means that they should be taking good number of fruits. Again, raw papaya is the only thing that one should avoid. Having papaya would cause abortion is a myth. Raw papaya has papaverin, latex, which can cause little uterine cramps. So we tell them to avoid, but otherwise moderate amount of normal ripe papaya, mangoes, moderation, banana, these all are a very good sources. But yeah, apart from that, berries and berries, apple, pomegranate, all these fruits. So we recommend generally around 2 to 3 fruits a day. If at all it's not a diabetic patient. If she's a diabetic patient, we restrict a fruit intake for 1 to 2 fruits a day. Yeah. So second comes the fibers. So always recommended to have a fiber. Always recommended to include the fiber in the diet. So I always tell my patients to have a bowl of salad before they start their meals.
Right, because
Half an
constipation is
hour.
very common in pregnancy,
Very
right?
common in pregnancy
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
So having rich fiber diet is
Rich
very
fiber
important.
diet is important. Yeah, good protein is again important. We know it's a building block. So
Right.
yeah, taking control of carb is again important because we have seen that patients think that now I'm pregnant, let me eat.
I have done that.
Yeah,
I have done that. I literally became double in my pregnancy by thinking. And thanks to my mother-in-law, my goodness, she's like, "Naini, khao, eat. You need extra ghee. You need extra food. You need because it's double now." So yeah, I got tripled, and my son was double.
Again,
Yeah.
having everything. If everything is okay, if everything is healthy, I mean, the weight gain shouldn't be a concern. But yeah, we say ideal weight gain during the pregnancy should be around 12 to 14 kgs.
That's it, right? I gained 35 kilos.
Yes. And in fact, those who are pre-diabetic, insulin resistant, we tell them to restrict between 8 to 12 kgs.
Again, we will continue with the food and diet.
Yes.
But before I miss it out,
Yes.
diabetes is very common also in pregnancy. Even if somebody is not having diabetes before,
Yeah.
they can develop diabetes during pregnancy as well, right?
Yes.
How common is this nowadays?
Again, with respect, when nowadays the diabetes is really very common, mainly because late conceptions, the food habits, the stress that we have. If you ask me now, yes, the incidence of diabetes in pregnancy is common. We see this at 24 to 28 weeks and onwards.
24 onwards, huh?
Yeah.
Gestational diabetes, we call it.
Yeah, we call it as a gestational diabetes. And again, this just passes away as the woman delivers the child. But
Okay.
again, monitoring till 12 weeks post-delivery is also important. This can reoccur in the next pregnancy as well. So one has to be careful about the carb intake. And that's the thing that I always tell my patients, that if you are doing everything in moderate amount, you can eat everything till the end. But if you eat more carbs, and if at all there are cravings for sweet, and you indulge in
Which obviously is most of the times,
which,
I'm sure.
yeah, portion control. The
Right.
trick over here is portion controlled.
Right. Okay. I'm sure patients must be concerned that if I have a diabetes, will it get transferred to my baby? Does it happen?
If it is uncontrolled diabetes, that can cause that can get transmitted to the baby. That is the reason why we say that control is very important. Taking medication is important. Certain patients we also had to put on insulin, and especially those who have diabetes in their families.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So genetic condition can definitely cause diabetes to the baby also, if not controlled well.
So proper sugar check is also important.
Very important. And that is done at 24 to 28 weeks of gestation. So each and every visit has something in it, which really tells us about overall well-being, overall health, how would be the mode of delivery. Everything can be managed if the patient is sticking to the antenatal visits.
Great. Is there any specific test other than fasting and postprandial? There is some test which is specific to pregnancy, right? For
Yes,
checking the
yes.
gestational diabetes. What do we call that?
That is called as OGTT, that is oral glucose tolerance test. In that, we tell patients to be fasting between 8 to 12 hours, and then fasting sugar level is taken. they are given a sugar syrup to drink, that is 75 grams of sugar, and then each hour the sugar is checked, 1 hour, 2 hour, and if at all there is a history, we do check for 3 hours as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending upon the levels, we treat them.
Okay. So this is a test which they usually go for.
Yes. Many of my patients, they don't like it because we tell them not to have the sugar for so long.
I have been through that. Yes.
Yeah, and it's not when you're told to drink that in 10 minutes, it becomes a little difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Has to be done.
important. Yeah, one of
Absolutely.
the important tests.
Because many times patients, many doctors, see, I'm not again questioning the doctors, but sometimes doctors might miss, and patients should be aware also that there's some test
There
which is to be
a
done,
test,
for
yeah,
checking the
checking
gestational
the
diabetes.
Gestational diabetes. Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So continuing on our food to be taken and not taken, what was that? We
Yes.
stopped at fruits
Carb.
portion and carbs.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Coming to healthy fats is again very important. So healthy fats and omega is very essential when it comes to the development of the fetus as well. So avocado, salmon, say weekly once, twice. Omega rich fruits, seeds, walnut, all those things we recommend. Yeah, again, when it comes to fish, most frequently asked question, is the fish safe in pregnancy?
Because omega people usually consider that fish is to be
Fish
taken, right?
is to be taken, yeah. So the small fishes we say are okay.
Okay.
The fishes which contain high level of mercury, such as kingfish, mackerels, or sharks, to be avoided during pregnancy.
Very
Even for
important.
that matter, the tuna fish to be limited as much.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm sure many people might not be knowing about it.
Know about this, but yes, this is again very important. Again, hydration is one of the important part of the pregnancy. Patients do tell us that it's already increased urination. That's why we are not hydrating ourselves. But this is again going to rather backfire.
Right.
When there is a dehydration, there's going to be headache, nausea, dizziness, all fatigue. All these feelings are going to be even more. Plus increased chances of urine infection, which is anyways common during pregnancy, is going to be even higher.
Right.
So hydration is again one of the important parts.
Right.
2 to 2.5 liter water should be,
No matter what.
Yeah, should be a target.
So
for a day.
accepting that you have to go to pee frequently, that has to be accepted rather than stopping your fluid
Stopping
intake,
the
right?
fluid intake. Because the uterus is pressing on the bladder. So anyways, you drink water or you do not drink water, that is going to happen. You are going to have increased frequency of urination even at night time. So even while a woman is sleeping, it is likely to happen. But that doesn't mean that you should restrict the water intake. Before 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., we tell our patients to have at least 2 to 2.5 liter of water. Very
That's
important.
great. That's
yeah.
great.
Coming to not to eat. So most frequently asked questions.
Before we
rather.
switch to not to
Yes.
eat, since we are on hydration, many people think that not drinking enough water causes oligohydramnios. Is that true? Oligohydramnios, for our if you can just let our audience know what exactly it is.
So oligohydramnios is basically decreased fluid collection around the baby. So baby is in the water bag. That fluid when decreases, we call it as oligohydramnios, and that is nothing but the secretions from the placenta and mainly the baby's urine, which would happen only when you are taking a good protein intake, a good calorie intake, and good hydration. Decreased maternal water intake will cause oligohydramnios. Is kind
There's
of a myth.
No connection.
No connection. Yeah.
Perfect. So, is there anything which patients should be careful about? What exactly causes oligohydramnios, since we are already on this topic, and how it is treated?
Yeah. So basically, oligohydramnios, as we discussed, is less amount of water surrounding the baby. That happens whenever the blood supply to the baby is less, or baby is not getting adequate nutrition.
Okay.
So yeah, placental calcification, all thrombophilias, where the body has a tendency of forming the blood clot and blocks the blood supply to the baby. That causes decreased blood supply from mama to the baby and the oligohydramnios. Yeah, even the placental calcifications, where the placenta starts aging little early, little faster, and decreases the blood supply. If the protein or anemia of protein intake of the mother is less, or there is anemia, that can also cause oligohydramnios because baby is receiving less nutrition. All
Okay.
these are the major symptoms of. Also, having said that, GDM, uncontrolled GDM, can also cause IUGR and oligohydramnios.
GDM is
The gestational diabetes mellitus, the
Okay,
one
that
that
is
we
GDM.
discussed. So,
causes IUGR, that is intrauterine
intrauterine growth
growth
restriction.
restriction. That means the baby doesn't
Baby
grow
doesn't
properly.
grow properly, and there will be oligohydramnios as well. Most common causes would be hypertension in the pregnancy, or preeclampsia, diabetes in pregnancy, thrombophilias, anemia. All these would be the most common causes of IUGR, that is intrauterine growth restriction, oligohydramnios, and there would be again when we are facing all these challenges, there are chances that patient can land up in cesarean deliveries more.
And then they question the doctor, why am I landing into cesarean section? No, I'm with you.
I mean, yeah, when they are following the doctor, they would understand that whatever the doctor is doing is in the best intention
Perfect.
for mother, baby,
Right.
and the families.
Right. So, like oligohydramnios, definitely preeclampsia and hypertension during pregnancy is also very common thing which we come across.
Yes.
We will talk about it. We have a lot of questions.
Absolutely.
We haven't yet finished the food and
Oh, yeah, true.
so
very true.
yeah, so let's finish that. I'm
Yes.
sure. I hope I won't disturb you again in between that. So
Pleasure.
Yeah. So So we were on what should be the contraindications. What food people should not eat during pregnancy.
Yeah. So anything and everything which is raw shouldn't be eaten during the pregnancy. So sushis, the raw salads, juices outside, we do not recommend to have during pregnancy. Yeah. Also, the raw milk. This is a myth again. I have heard that having raw milk helps, but unpasteurized milk should be completely avoided during the pregnancy. Yeah, so these precautions to be taken. Again, green tea was again most commonly asked question. Consumption of green tea in first trimester decreases the folic acid absorption, so we do not recommend green tea in first trimester, and moderation in second and third trimester is again important.
Green tea.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Ah.
So again, very important part. And daily taken, thinking
Yeah, it's a
that
very
it
common
is,
one. I mean, whatever, give me a
thinking
green
that
tea.
it is going to give hydration.
Right.
No.
True.
So yeah,
It's
these
the other way
things,
around.
to be strictly avoided. Again, raw papaya we have said to avoid strictly. Fish content with high mercury to be avoided. Anything and everything that you're getting from the market, nicely make sure that you're washing it thoroughly, and then using it.
Perfect.
yeah.
I have heard very commonly, women are told to drink more milk so that they will be feeding more milk to the baby. Is that so? How often you come across this?
No. So, I mean, yeah, these myths, of course, we come across a lot. Rather, we have heard that feeding ghee,
Right.
jaggery, and
Will make the delivery normal,
will
right?
make the delivery normal. Drinking ghee makes delivery process easy. Again, all these are the myths. We have seen animals around. They do not have this.
They don't take ghee. They don't take ghee, right?
A cow who's producing milk the most, she doesn't have ghee and all these things. So no, what we are trying to tell the patients is just to stick to the normal routine healthy nutrition. Hydrate yourself well so that the milk production is good. It is all hormonal. So you treat your body well, the body is going to produce it well.
So I have been through gaining double of my weight during my pregnancy, so I know how sedentary you really become during pregnancy.
Yes.
I want to understand, can female really exercise so that, at least some of the balance, maybe if they are into overeating or whatever, how important exercises, can they do exercise during pregnancy?
So during pregnancy, you eat, you sleep, you're working. Everything is as a daily habit. Why exercise should be excluded?
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
I completely do not understand this. If you're doing certain things as a routine, which is a physiological thing, pregnancy is a physiological thing. Let's not make it as a pathological thing. Yeah. Exercising every day is very important. I tell all my patients to walk at least 30 minutes every day. If they are into prenatal yogas, prenatal Pilates, absolutely okay. I encourage them to do this. This really helps with good stamina at the time of delivery. And again, the muscles are having all that. So the muscles are flexible for the normal delivery. So we really like the patients to be active throughout the pregnancy. There is no need to not do exercise if everything is okay. I mean, if there is, of course, bleeding, spotting, the placenta is low, the cervical length is small,
Unless and until any complications
any
are there.
complication is there, exercise shouldn't be the thing to avoid or to restrict.
Right. So check with your doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in such cases where you're saying that these cases they should be avoided, they can still do under guidance, right? Because there are a lot of other classes, prenatal classes going on, which they they help to exercise.
Absolutely.
Because movement and keep moving is very important.
Walking, at least walk, shouldn't be a concern at all.
How about weightlifting for weightlifters?
Yeah. So
I have to ask this. I'm in favor of
absolutely.
weightlifters.
Core strengthening is very important when it comes to the pregnancy
Core
deliveries.
strengthening, yeah?
Yeah. So light weights up to 5 to 7 kgs shouldn't be a concern at all. Of course, we do not recommend heavy weightlifting or intensity, the cardios which are high intensity cardios. We don't recommend that. But yes, up to light dumbbells, 5 to 7 kg weight is absolutely okay to do it.
Okay.
So you can have more of repetitions rather than going up with the weights.
Like increasing the number
Yeah,
weight.
yeah. So you can go for more of repetitions rather than increasing the weight.
Right.
Yes.
I would like to also add to it. I mean, to add to my question, definitely not the answer. That's you who will be saying. How about the supplements and all? What usually, pregnant females that usually take it before pregnancy, like creatine or the protein supplements or amino whatever there are a lot of supplements that women take, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
are they good to go ahead with even during pregnancy, or they should be avoiding it? How does it work?
Ideally, when we give the supplements to the women, we give folic acid, we give multivitamins, we give iron, calcium, vitamin D.
So everything is
So
covered.
everything is technically covered, and when they're doing this exercise, it really helps them. Especially if at all the woman is into this strength training or into this. They also ask us about swimming. Again, very good exercise. I really recommend. That does not even cause joint pain, does not cause back pain. So one can do this swimming in the pregnancy as well. And if you're doing this, we give them magnesium supplement at night times, which really relaxes the muscle. So you need not take any other medication if you are already on
Regular
these
checkup and
regular
these
checkups and
medications.
supplements. Yes,
Amazing. So
yes.
no concern. Everything is taken care of.
Absolutely taken care of.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We haven't even covered half yet of our obstetric questions. Gynecology is still left, and I don't want to miss those questions. Any which way, we will be covering it in our further podcast. But before I leave you, I want to go through a rapid fire round.
Right.
You have to be with me. We're just being into yes or no for that.
Perfect.
And for our audience, if you want to have the information in detail, this is going to be just yes or no. Definitely, no answer in medicine is yes or no. It's never like that. So just for your information, that that this is a no and this is a yes. And for the information, you can connect with Dr. Namrata on her social media handles, which is going to be there in each video that we will be putting across, also on the YouTube channel. So connect with her, get her support. She is very friendly. I've already praised her a lot in the beginning itself, so you know that she's easily reachable and there to help everyone. Do reach out. So we'll start with our rapid fire round. Yeah.
Let's go.
Can you get pregnant during your periods?
No.
We can take few minutes. It's okay. I know it's rapid fire, but it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Does carrying the baby low means you are having a boy?
No.
Is normal delivery impossible after a C-section?
No.
Do birth control pills cause infertility?
No.
Is white discharge always an infection?
No.
Is period pain normal for everyone?
Yes.
Can PCOS be cured only with diet?
Yes.
Can stress alone stop periods?
Yes.
Do C-sections affect breastfeeding?
No.
Is sex during pregnancy unsafe?
No.
Can breastfeeding prevent pregnancy completely?
No.
I'm sure you must be having so many things in your mind to talk about
Yeah,
thing.
each and every question has got so much to
to
discuss.
talk about. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying one podcast is not going to be enough for us.
100%.
Okay. So do tight clothes affect fertility?
In men, we tell
Yes or
yes
no?
or no. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry for my audience. I feel bad. I mean, she's
yeah,
feeling bad as
yeah.
well, but do feel free to connect with her for any kind of concern. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, do irregular periods mean you can't get pregnant?
No.
Does washing the vagina frequently prevent infections?
No.
Is exercise during pregnancy dangerous?
No.
Does abortion cause permanent infertility?
No.
Will all women lose weight after breastfeeding stops?
No.
Do cold drinks increase period cramps?
No.
Is menopause the end of women's sexual life?
No.
Perfect. That was a good ending.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure everyone wants to know about how is it going to be with the sexual life after menopause as well. We will talk about it.
It is very important, and rather should be talked about. I mean, people really till date, women are not open about it, but it is again very important topic, and we should discuss this.
We should definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
yes.
Thank you so much once again for being on my
Thank you
show,
so
Dr.
much.
Namrata.
Thank
Pleasure
you so
having
much
you.
for calling me here, and pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.